Welcome to GeoPoDe.world. This is the landing page. We have several country instances here that are either accessible without any passwords, as you can see here, for those countries where there is no log item. When there is a log item, we need a password, and you can see that, for instance, if I click on Niger, I am asked to provide a username and a password. And if you do not have that, then you can request permission by writing an email to the email address given on the login screen for each country. I have now provided a username and a password. And upon my login, I will access the country instance Niger. Note that I'm signed in as the user and ER. And of course, I can log out using the logout button. I'm not going to do this now, but we can go back to all the countries. And basically, I would have access to, of course, the unlocked countries. And you can still see I'm user and ER. But if I try to access another country that is locked, for instance, Cameroon, I will be told that I do not have permission to access it. And I would have to request permission as I would have to do for other countries using this email address. Once on the landing page for a country, you will find three tabs most often: a map tab, a geometry tab, and a population tab. Within the map, you will find an interactive interface where you can explore the country, show and hide different layers. You will be able to do population queries within the map area. In the second tab, the geometry tab, you will be able to download the different point of interests and shape files, for instance, admin boundaries, etc., as a zip file. And in the last tab, the population tab, you will be able to download both Excel files containing aggregated population numbers per admin zones or health areas or settlements, if you wish, as well as, if available, the population rasters directly. Let us now take a closer look at the map tab. So once we enter into the map area, we can see that the country that we're looking at is already highlighted, the admin 0 in green. Within the map area, we can also see that we have the access to population and geometry tabs up here. There's also some information about the country. You can send an email using this contact menu, and then we also have a user guide that you can download where further details are provided. So in this first tab, the search functionality allows you to directly go to a place. For instance, I type something like that and I can see all the matches within that country. Can be a region, it can be a hamlet area, or it can be a settlement. So we'll try for now N'Djamena, and we click on it and directly it will zoom to the area. As you can see now, upon zooming in, we have been able to unlock several layers. The layers are within this tab here. And if you're wondering what are those different shapes and colors, there's also an information tab here, the legend, which explains all features. So for instance, we have hamlet areas, small settlement areas, and so-called built-up areas, bigger accumulation of buildings in these purple shapes. And if you don't like the background imagery, or you would like to see actually the imagery, you can change that in this tab. For instance, we can use Google Satellite here, so you can see that there are indeed buildings in here. but it may be difficult to see the individual features using that. So we'll just go with OpenStreetMaps here. And you can use the zoom, minus and plus to go further in. And you will be able to unlock the different point of interests, for instance, that we just saw in this tab here. We have several points of interests. Currently, they are not visible. This depends on the zoom level we are at. If you would like to see them, you could either zoom in further, and you will see now they start becoming available. You can see that they appear here, schools, health areas, etc. And if you would like to hide some of them, you can do this by clicking this button. You see they're all unchecked. If we zoom further out, per default, they are not visible as shown by this little eye icon. We can make them available and force visibility by clicking this eye item, and you can see now that all the schools have been made available. Next is the Go to XY tab that we will have a look at. Here we can just enter some longitude and latitude, and it will take us to the place that we want if we click enter or just the arrow. And if we do not need that place anymore, we can clear it using the clear markers sign. If I do not need that tool at all, and if it just disturbs me, I can also remove it here in the settings tab. I can remove the other tabs that I will not need either. For instance, the scale bar I don't need. Next will be the population query tool that we'll have a detailed look at. The population query tool allows us to calculate population within a given area. It can be either by drawing a polygon of the area of interest. For instance, if we would be interested in an area here, we can draw the polygon ourselves, and it will give us a table of the chosen gender or total or age group filtered population. We can do this also via selecting a centroid point with a buffer around it, for instance, 1,000 meters specified here that can be changed. It can also be done using an already drawn shapefile to upload. And we can also save the drawn polygon, for instance, using this button after drawing. And we can delete or clear the selected polygon or buffer point using these crosses, or clear all if we have selected several areas. Let's do now an example. Let's say that I'm now interested in how many people live in this area here. For that, I will choose the Select by Polygon option, and I will click with a single click all the polygon points that I'm interested in. And with a double click, I will close the polygon. Automatically, a table will be generated, including all the settlements and hamlets, or if applicable, also buas within my polygon, and the associated population that I have selected before, male, female, etc., within that table. Note that you can change the name of the area. And I will be able to export that as well as an Excel if I wish so by clicking on the Excel button. If I open this, as you can see, all of the information is contained within this Excel as well. Similarly, I can choose the buffer point selection if I'm just interested, for instance, in this settlement here. I choose this buffer and I'll select the midpoint, and here with a buffer of 1000 meters, it gives me the settlement within that area. Note again here, this can be changed or deselected. Let's assume now that my area of interest has been drawn and I'm happy with it. And now I would like to compare this area of interest in another program, for instance, QGIS. Then I can save this as KML and it will be directly saved as a KML file to my downloads folder called population.kml, and I will be able to open this in another software. Once downloaded, I can now open my KML file, for instance, in QGIS. So in QGIS, I can find my file, my downloads folder, and as you can see, it has been added to the right place and location. And I can further continue my work using the polygon. It should be noted that the KML file is not readable as such by ArcMaps, but with the conversion tool, it is possible to import it there as well. Let's imagine now that I'm happy with my polygon, but I realized that in fact there were several areas that I noted, for instance, on my Google satellite when looking at it, that I forgot to include in my polygon. So I can now work with my polygon and add a couple of new polygons that I think should be added here. Area 2. Maybe this one as well. Area 3. And I decide that I would like to use this KML file now in GeoPoDe to calculate the population. So what I can do is I can import the KML file here in GeoPoDe using the folder button. So I can click here. Here's my KML file that I just modified. I will open it and I will remove the existing. As you can see, I have now the 3 areas that I just drew before. I can remove the population tool just to see the areas. And I also get the population estimate for all those 3. And I can export that if I want using, again, the Excel table. And now it contains the 3 areas, as you will see in the Excel. Area 2, area of interest, and area 3. Within the population menu, we can download different population numbers for individual aggregation levels of our choice. For instance, on a country level, regional level, department or settlement level for Chad in this case. We can define the age range we're interested in. We can also define the gender. And for instance, if I choose a region, I can undo all and select, for instance, just Batha. And I can choose between a detailed or a summary export type. If I choose details and click on download, I will be able to open my Excel and check that for Batha, here we have the aggregated population numbers in an Excel from 0 to 100 years old. Note that if you want to download the population data on a settlement aggregation level, you need to first specify a region to limit the amount of data, since it will be exhaustive otherwise. Within the Geometry tab, you will be able to either choose a prepared or custom export of the country's geometry layers. In this case, for instance, for Nigeria, we have 37 states. In the prepared export, you can either choose all states, giving you the entire country, or individual states. Alternatively, if you would like to obtain a subset of the states, you can do that in the custom export by clicking on the different states that you would like. And you can also select which layers you want. For instance, only the hamlet areas. And you can also choose the export format, which is per default a file geodatabase in the Esri format. Once you're happy with your choice, you can request the export upon entering an email address, and you will receive an email where you can click on a link to get access to your export once it is generated on the server. Within the prepared export, download, for instance, for Abia, will be in a zip file in an FGDB format.